We talk about Medicare for all on this channel a lot. We talk about the need for it for the people in this country. And Senator Bernie Sanders is once again proving why he's consistent about this policy and why he's the real front runner when it comes down to dealing with Medicare for all and talking about, because now the Bernie Sanders campaign has released a plan for guaranteed child care and pre-K care for all. So why is this important? Well, look, we say this on the show all the time that every year, 500,000 Americans go bankrupt because of medical bills. And Daniel covered a story last week where, you know, you have a couple going to jail because they're unable to pay their medical bills. And see, that's just a small, we only just scratch the surface with that. That's an ongoing problem across the country impacting many Americans. It doesn't matter what their background is, their political affiliation. This is something that's hurting us all. And young people, children, are the ones being affected by this by the most due to lack of health care in the system. So Bernie Sanders said on Monday, unveiling a sweeping new proposal that would guarantee high-quality child care and then pre-kindergarten education to every child regardless of income status in the United States. Right now, here's some interesting and devastating statistical data right now. The average American family with young children spends $10,000 per year on child care, a burden that eats as much as 35% of the annual budget of low-income families. Annual budget that detailed early childhood plan released by Sanders' campaign seeks to address this crisis and economic hardship by providing free child care starting at infancy and pre-K beginning at age 3. So in a study released last month, this is another study too, by the Economic Policy Institute, found that American families spend approximately $42 billion annually on child care for their children. That figure does not include the $34 billion spent by federal and state governments on child care support systems, services, and subsidies. According to the EPI, parents of young children forego $30 to $35 billion each year in income due to the high cost of early child care and education, a figure that translates into an estimate $4.2 billion in lost federal tax revenue. So let's talk about Bernie Sanders' plan, what it's all about. So according to the campaign, the plan would provide child care at least 10 hours a day and ensure programs operate at times to serve parents who work non-traditional hours. So like we always say in the show, you have families working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet and it's still not enough. It could help out those families a lot. And I think, you know, everyone deserves a break. Building off the success of the existing federal child care programs, the Universal Free Child Care Program will be funded by the federal government and administered by state agencies and tribal governments in cooperation and in collaboration with public school districts and other relevant agencies and organizations. The federal funding will cover the full cost of child care services and pay for the workers as well as capital expenses. As a condition of funding, the federal government will set quality standards for the program, including minimum wages for workers and mandated low child to adult ratios and small group sizes for delivery of services, guaranteed every child access to a full day, full week pre-kindergarten education regardless of income starting at age 3. So this is fantastic. It's about time we have this conversation. And, you know, I just want to say one thing. You know, we always hear from these corporate media pundits and the DNC establishment and the RNC establishment and everyone who's in the top 1%. Well, how are you going to pay for it, Bernie? How are you going to pay for it, Bernie? How are you going to pay for it? I'm tired of hearing that. How are we able to pay for, I don't know, that Joint Strike Fighter, Daniel? You know, that $1 trillion disaster that doesn't even fly at night, that's supposed to do all these things? We have money for that. How are we paying for it? How are we paying for these endless wars? How are we paying for that tax break that the 1% got under Trump and all the other previous administrations? How are we paying for that? How are we paying for those? But yet, when it comes down to taking care of our young people, nope. It's over. Stop. Don't even say anything. Don't you dare even give an ounce of criticism. We can't pay for our children. We can't take care of our children. But the rest of the world, Canada, members of the European Union, Australia, they've all figured it out. I guess we're just too stupid. But when Senator Bernie Sanders brings this up, you know, corporate media is going to say, stop, wait, this is too radical. I'm tired of seeing people get hurt. I'm tired of seeing people go bankrupt because of unpaid medical bills. I don't want to see an innocent person go to jail because, I don't know, they had the audacity to save their lives or save the loved ones of their lives. So I say yes to this plan. Bernie Sanders once again proving why he's a front runner and why we need to start taking care of each other. Daniel, Jerome, take it away.
So this is interesting. So I like this bill. I like what this is about. I think, you know, this is kind of, we're past due for something like this. I like that it gives 10 hours. That seems incredibly flexible and reasonable. And so people just don't, I guess, I'm not going to get into that. What's really nice about this on top of all this is that, in a sense, it makes America a communal kindergarten, and to a degree, a communal daycare. Everyone puts in money so that the children of America can have well-paid people who are well-skilled look after them. Right now, we have a daycare system that is fractured, to say the least, very hard to enforce. And sometimes it's just like a mom is looking after a kid and they take on, it's just, there's no standardization. And daycare workers are paid like about as much as fast food workers. That's not right. We need daycare workers to get, as Bernie would say, at least 15 an hour. I'm sure the plan gives a little bit more than that, because what do we not, let's be real, do we not want to invest in the people and the skills needed to take care of the next generation? America is, right now, we are living in a knowledge era. China is winning that fight. What do they do with their kids? Again, I always bring this up. If you're in China, the highest rung you can possibly make. Like in America, it's like lawyer, doctor. In China, it's like, if I try really hard, really hard, I can be a teacher. And if that doesn't work out, I guess I'll be a doctor or a lawyer. Yeah. They
Actually, there's a question
revere.
directed towards you. Yeah. I think you know how to answer this one better, because we've talked about this before. Gray Walker, Vedford Tulsi, $2 super chat. We pay twice as much. Where's the extra money going?
And that's the thing. That's the big thing that we deal with, that we talk about. Like, we were talking earlier before the show how we're a hybrid system. It's a lot cheaper to put money into the fire department than have private fire insurance. Because if someone who doesn't have private fire insurance house goes up, it's going to hit all the people that have insurance. It just makes more sense. And you take out this profit motive. You take out this middleman motive. If the government ensures that everyone gets childcare that's good quality, affordable, easy to do, you can drop off your kids, it allows more people to be in the labor force, which is good for the American economy. A lot of times what happens today is it's maybe $15 an hour to put a kid in a daycare that maybe has 12 other kids that 2 people are running that are each being paid $7 an hour. I wonder where the rest of that money goes. Wow. And so the parent, mom or dad, might be like, ooh, it's actually cheaper for one of us to just drop out of the labor force and put our career on hold to raise this kid, because I'm only making, I don't know, $14 an hour to pay $15 an hour for daycare. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'll just stay. This is something that just makes sense. If you allow people to put their kids in a safe, productive environment while they go to work, the economy does better. It's just like public fire protection. It makes sense.
I just wanted to make one quick point, and they're all great points that both of you have stated. The one thing that I noticed when you guys were talking about it is the fact that I have friends, I have family, I know people who don't, like moms, they become stay-at-home moms even though they want to work because they can't afford childcare, right? So it's the choice of like, well, I can go work, but it's just going to negate the whole, paying for childcare or whatever. So to see something like this come through is great.
You know what? And the thing is, growing up too as a kid in the south side of Chicago, you saw a lot of families go through a lot of struggles just so that, they could put food on the table. And thankfully, my mom was able to, really take good care of me when I was a kid. But one of the things is like she had my grandfather help take care of me too. Sure. So like, but he was retired. But the thing is, compared that to other families across the country, and that is, they don't have that luxury. They don't have like maybe a strong support system. And you have people out there really trying to make a serious decision. Well, do I stay with my kid? Do I lose my career? And, think about how this also impacts, single families, like a single parent home and what they have to go through and the nightmare of that. I mean, the thing is, we pride ourselves in being this strong nation, this nation that could do anything. But when it comes down to taking care of our people, we don't know how to do it.
And so then on top of all this, you'll have the same people that are going to fight this bill, Jerome, are the same people that say, hey, the gender pay gap isn't real. It's just women drop out of the workforce to have kids.
Oh my God.
And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I really don't want to get into that whole subject. I just want to point out that a lot of the people that'll fight a bill like this by saying it costs too much money or why are we putting our resources here are the same people that'll say we need to give the military an unlimited budget and whatever they want they get. Also, people shouldn't have health care. Also, people shouldn't have a livable wage. Also, people shouldn't have childcare. Whereas I think that the better way, especially like right now, I'm going to go back to China real quick. China is out competing us right now. They're filled with engineers and people that know how to build. They know how to build things way better than America does. And so how does America, a country with a third the population and shrinking in that ratio, beat China? You invest in the people. It's pretty straightforward. If every person in America is 3 times as educated, as capable, as healthy as in China, that makes up the difference, if not more, especially if we're really well coordinated together. But this is a good bill. This is a good idea. This is a good bill. This is
once again proving why Bernie Sanders is the front runner and why he's a leader and why he needs to get the nomination and why we need to get involved in this 2020 election cycle. I don't see any other candidate really putting out this kind of a plan and actually following through with it. It's only Bernie.